Imagine the hidden chapters written by Hollywood's elite secrets kept far from the flickering silver screen. It makes you wonder what else stays in the shadows. Past the velvet ropes and the glow of golden statues, a deeply human reality remains tucked away. We often forget the soul behind the spectacle. These are chronicles of finding oneself amidst a quiet, brave struggle to exist. Today, we look at 20 icons who navigated love in the spotlight. We explore the paths that defied a town built entirely on mirrors and careful illusions in 2025. How much has truly changed since those early days? While some broke through glass ceilings, others found safety in the quiet, yet every single one left a mark. Pull up a chair and join our circle. Walk with us through these memories because these revelations might just shift your perspective on the movie magic we adore. Ready to see behind the curtain? Tyler Perry understood the weight of a secret long before he owned the skyline. He was just a dreamer wandering the humid streets of New Orleans. He penned desperate notes to his own soul just to see the sunrise. The walls of home felt like a cage of hardship and hurt. At his lowest, the darkness nearly swallowed him whole until a simple ink pen offered a lifeline. It was a small tool that held a massive universe. Scribbling became his shield during those lean years in the early 1990s. He staged his heartbeat for empty theater seats that didn't yet care. When his debut crashed, his only refuge was the cold back seat of his sedan. It's the kind of rock bottom that breaks most men. He kept refining his truth until his story of transformation finally touched a hungry crowd. Can you imagine the relief of that first standing ovation? That stage work was a sacred confession that paved the way for a fierce, gun-toting matriarch. She was loud, raw, and exactly what the world needed. Through that sharp-tongued grandmother, people found laughter and, more importantly, themselves. As the theaters filled, a kingdom began to rise. The success snowballed into massive cinematic hits and a sprawling production fortress in Georgia. The scale of it all was simply breathtaking. Quiet speculation trailed his every move, sparked by the very dresses he wore for his craft. Success always comes with a prying eye. The tabloids demanded a label, but he refused to be categorized by anyone else's ink. He focused on a legacy that stood taller than any headline. He opened doors for others and quietly fed thousands when the world stood still. His kindness was as quiet as his private life. He erected monuments of industry that rendered the prying questions irrelevant. Yet the public's curiosity about his heart never faded. His silence was his most profound reply in a town that demands you strip your soul bare. He held the keys to his own narrative. While everyone else was shouting their truths, he found strength in his own sanctuary. Is there anything more powerful than a secret kept by choice? There is a certain dignity in letting the world wonder while you simply exist. Then there was the man known as Michael K. Williams. A single mark on his face told 1,000 stories before he even reached New York's toughest streets. He was a boy shaped by the rhythm of the city. He found his footing in dance, moving fast enough to ignore the harsh realities outside. His mother kept his spirit grounded with firm, loving hands. Between his mother's prayers and the concrete jungle's lessons, he found his voice in the theater. Art wasn't just a hobby, it was his oxygen. A sudden flash of steel during a late night at 25 altered his reflection forever. That single moment could have been the final curtain. Most would have hidden away, but for Michael, that physical wound became his greatest asset. It turned a dancer into a legend. It wasn't a blemish. It was a badge of raw authenticity that commanded every room he entered. You couldn't look away from that much truth. He eventually stepped into the boots of a complex anti-hero who prowled the Baltimore streets. He wasn't just a character, he was a force of nature. This man held a weapon in one hand and his partner's heart in the other, breaking every mold. He was a pioneer in a world of rigid toughness. He gave us a man who was as gentle as he was dangerous, showing us a side of life rarely seen. It was a seismic shift for television history. He refused to let the role become a joke or a simple victim breathing real life into every scene. We didn't just watch him, we felt him. He broke down walls of what it meant to be both tough and true to oneself. Yet that openness on screen came from a very real place. The pain we saw wasn't just a performance, it was a shadow he wrestled with in the dark. Even heroes have their own internal wars. He stumbled and spoke his truth without the typical Hollywood mask of perfection. He was beautifully, tragically human. He used his platform to lift those behind bars and guide the youth wandering the same streets he once did. He was a beacon for the forgotten. Those children looked at him and saw a future regardless of who he loved behind closed doors. Some things are too sacred for a label. His kindness resonated more than any dialogue, and when he left us in 2021, the world felt a little colder. Why do the brightest lights burn out so fast? He took his internal fractures and turned them into something exquisite for us all to witness. What once looked like a flaw became his masterpiece. It remains a testament that our deepest hurts can be the very things that make us eternal. It's a legacy written in courage. Tyrese Gibson paid a heavy price for his seat at the table long before the cameras started rolling. He was just a dreamer in a tough neighborhood. Growing up in Watts, he leaned on a mother who carried the world on her shoulders alone. The absence of a father was a quiet, constant ache. He remembered when the power went out and the future felt as fragile as a flickering candle. How do you find a way out when you can't see the path? His gift was a melody that eventually landed him a spot on a transit bus for a famous soda ad. That one song changed everything in a heartbeat. Those few notes opened a door to a world he only saw on television, leading to soulful hits and major awards. It was the start of a journey no one saw coming. Velvet Soul Crooner. Baby Boy Transformers. Spotlight hides shadows. Honesty invited scrutiny. Media dissected him, rebutting cruel claims. Private wars rage. Tears fed crowds. Defying silent expectations. Daughter provided peace. Healing under watch. Spirit remaining gentle. Feeling over silence. Weeping proved power. Donnie McClurkin surviving. Before global choruses. Scarred Amityville. Ill youth. Relatives wounded him. Sanctuary amidst war. Guilt haunted home. Unstoppable 90s hits. Millions hailed him. Preacher fighting truth. Admitting male loves. Faith reshaped identity. Critics erupted loudly. Survival or denial. Change sparked debate. Creed defined legacy. Singing through wrecks. Hardship added grit. Belief meets identity. Seeking messy peace. Scars with belief. Jamie Foxx mystery. Eric Bishop roots. Pews offered sanctuary. Talent provided escape. In living color. 2004 Ray Charles. Living in darkness. Academy Award Victor. Enigma behind curtain. Success met whispers. Silence met rumors. He built a fortress around his private world, keeping the bright stage lights far from his quiet home. It was a boundary no one dared cross. His deep bond with Katie Holmes lived in the quiet shadows away from the blinding flash of cameras. Some love stories just aren't for the public. He protected his family and his soul, but in 2023, a sudden silence fell. The world held its collective breath. Whispers of illness filled the air as he vanished behind hospital walls for weeks. We all waited for news that wouldn't come. Seeing him smile again felt like watching a legend return from the brink. He remains the undisputed king of both laughter and tears. He reclaimed his own story, proving Jamie Foxx's true strength lies in what he keeps hidden. Power, it seems, is found in silence. While everyone else was shouting their business, he chose a quiet grace. He simply refused to let the world label him. Often the most captivating thing about a legend is the mystery they leave behind. Don't we all love a good secret? Wanda Sykes turned a laugh into a movement long before her voice defined an era. Her journey began far from the bright stage. She once walked the halls of the National Security Agency, living a life that hid her wild, brilliant spirit. Nobody knew her fire yet. Growing up in a stable Virginia home, she followed every rule expected of her. She was the picture of a perfect, dutiful daughter. She had the degree and the steady paycheck, but the stage was the only place she felt truly free. Could she leave it all? That night in Washington, D.C., during the late 80s, the air changed the moment she grabbed the mic. A star was born. Her wit was dangerous, and her unique voice sliced through rooms that weren't ready for her. She wasn't asking for permission anymore. She was soon winning awards and trading lines on Curb Your Enthusiasm, becoming a household name. Success had finally caught up to her. She earned her seat at the table, but 2008 would change her world forever. A new chapter was beginning. Standing in Las Vegas at 44, she chose a moment of protest to share her deepest truth. It was a brave, unexpected leap. She simply spoke her heart, skipping the cameras and long interviews for a moment of pure honesty. It felt like a quiet revolution. Equality was still a distant dream, and her past included a traditional marriage to a man. The stakes were impossibly high. Her entire career was on the line, yet she refused to stay hidden in the dark. She stepped boldly into the light. Her bravery led to a beautiful life with Alex and their 2 children. It was the joy she truly deserved. She turned her jokes into a way to fight for what is right, making us think while we laughed. Humor was her weapon. No topic was too tough to tackle because she knew that finding the humor meant finding the strength to carry on. She used her voice to break down walls in a town that usually prefers secrets. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind. While some try to fit in, she stood out, changing our world just by being herself. Her courage shifted the culture forever. Often the most daring joke is simply being honest. Marsai Martin would soon prove that silence is its own kind of strength. While most kids were just growing up, she was busy changing the rules of the movie business. She was a different breed. Hailing from Plano, Texas, she became a star on Blackish before even turning 10. The camera loved her instantly. She wasn't just a cute kid. She was brilliant, hitting every mark with the skill of a veteran. You couldn't look away. She moved with a natural grace that owned every scene she was in. She was a true force of nature. At just 14, she achieved the impossible by bringing her own movie vision to life. She was forging a path all her own. Her film, Little, was a massive hit, making her the youngest boss in cinema history. A new record was finally set. While her peers were at school, she was making deals, but the spotlight always has its costs. Could she stay grounded? With success came the whispers of the internet, picking apart her life and her every move. The whole world was watching. People began to wonder about her heart and identity, speaking without ever knowing her truth. The noise was getting much louder. She didn't waste time explaining. She just kept building her empire. She let her incredible work speak for her. She started her own company to tell the kinds of stories she wanted to see. She was building a legacy for others. She did it all, from cartoons to high fashion, all before she was even legally an adult. It was a stunning success. In a world that wants to see everything, she chose a quiet life while still fighting for justice. It was bold. She stands with her community but believes that your private life belongs to you alone. Some things are meant to be personal. Being a star doesn't mean you must tell everything. She's playing the long game instead. She was looking toward the future. Today, at 21, she stands tall, far above the reach of any tabloid headlines. She has finally become her own woman. Her strength comes from her own dreams and her steady hand. Often, the most impactful choice is the simplest one. It's about not letting the world tell your story for you. Then there's Brandon Kyle Goodman, who lives without any fear. Raised in a strict Queens home, he learned early on that keeping quiet was the only way to get by. A secret world began. In those days, being unique felt risky. This boy spent his childhood perfecting the art of fading away. He practiced whispering his truth, hiding every vibrant piece of himself that didn't fit a standard mold. Eventually, the silence had to break. Creativity became his shield when Brandon finally stepped onto the big stage. His role in Netflix's Big Mouth offered easy laughs, but he chose to find the hidden heart within the humor. He gave that character a soul, mixing soft vulnerability with a rare, shimmering sense of pure delight. Such pride was only the beginning. His true impact reached far beyond the recording booth. In quiet, creative meetings, he fought for complex, colorful souls who had been ignored for far too long. He demanded real humanity over tired tropes, refusing to ask for a seat when he could build a table. When 2020 burned with pain, Brandon bared his soul on camera, sharing the weight of his truth. His social media became a pulpit for his weariness stripped of all theatrical polish to reveal a haunting reality. The world listened because he was genuine. By 2022, his book invited us into his private struggles. You got to be. You explored his deepest doubts, proving he was still navigating his own complicated path. His strength lies in the beauty of his growth, marking Brandon Kyle Goodman as a beacon for new voices. He carries his layered identity with pride, refusing to dim his light just to make the world feel safe. He creates a sanctuary for others, choosing to amplify his voice in a world that once demanded his silence. True survival isn't silent. It is the bold act of being completely seen. Tika Sumpter embodies elegance long before the flashing lights found her in the heart of Queens. Her dreams reached past the velvet ropes, starting her journey as a face on a page rather than film. Hosting paved her way, proving that while charm gets you inside, only true grit keeps you there. The set of One Life to Live became her training ground, instilling a relentless work ethic every single day. While cinema called to her, it was her work in Southside with You that truly shifted her destiny forever. Playing a young Michelle Obama took more than a look. It required deep intelligence and unwavering composure. Tika channeled a spirit so profound that the audience felt they were witnessing a real soul. Fame brought prying eyes and internet whispers about her life away from the camera. Silence invites shadows when a woman guards her heart, leading many to guess at secrets she never shared. Despite the gossip, she remained a fortress, refusing to explain her truth or fight the public's curiosity. In a town built on access, she found power in privacy, prioritizing her craft over public approval. She produced stories of deep romance while quietly tending to the garden of her own private heart. Life blossomed when she started a family with Nicholas James, eventually marrying exactly how she envisioned. Beyond the camera, she built Sugarberry, a haven where mothers could share their dreams and struggles. Her mission wasn't defined by shouting, but by a steady, purposeful rhythm that proved power needs no megaphone. She stands like an oak while others chase the wind, focused on leaving a legacy that lasts forever. Perhaps the greatest act of defiance a star can manage is holding the pen to her own life story. Colman Domingo stands as a testament to self-belief, having constructed his massive success through unyielding determination. His journey began on tiny stages, far from his humble beginnings in Philadelphia, within a hard-working family. Growing up, the heroes rarely mirrored him, leading him to pursue reporting before the stage called his name. While a steady career offered comfort, his soul hungered for more, pulling him toward the creative fog of San Francisco. Tiny stages became his proving grounds, where he found a resonance that the world could no longer ignore. When he reached Broadway, he carried a weight and wisdom that transformed every single syllable he spoke. With A Boy and His Soul, he blended rhythm and heartache to uncover the essence of his identity. Instead of wearing masks, he used his roles to strip them away before television shared him with everyone. As Victor Strand, he balanced charm and a chilling darkness that kept us watching. His presence in Euphoria felt like a jagged prayer, offering a guiding light through an incredibly raw performance. After his win, he stepped into the past during 2023 to honor a forgotten hero's legacy. Those honors proved his legend, but his most enduring act was just beginning to unfold. Performance was his sacred oath of honesty. Colman Domingo lives openly alongside his partner. Their bond grew from a simple digital classified. It became a lifetime of devotion. In an era demanding silence, he chose to radiate. He blossomed beautifully. He crafts guides and honors our shared history. He lights the way forward. He didn't wait for permission. He changed the game. Colman Domingo. He stands before us as a complete soul, a visionary never fragmented. He triumphed by simply being his whole self. He reframed our view. Remember Kevin Aviance, the Phantom of the Night? He ruled the underground. A radiant child from a large Virginia home. He was always a bright spirit. He sought a truth beyond church pews. He chased the city lights. In the velvet nights of the 90s, he belonged. He found his tribe. A statuesque titan in avant-garde style. He was a living work of art. With his house behind him, he reinvented movement. He was pure magic. Under the flickering neon, he became a myth, a legend of the floor. His voice soon filled every speaker. The world felt his rhythm. After 2001, his songs were hymns. They kept spirits alive. But tragedy struck in 2006. A cruel night on the street. He was left physically shattered by hate. The world went suddenly dark. They hoped to silence his beautiful light. They were deeply mistaken. He walked back into the spotlight, more powerful than the pain. It was a victory of existence over fear. He would not hide. Years later, a global icon honored his soul. It was a homecoming. The margins have always set the pace for the center. He led. His journey is a testament to creative resilience. He is the pulse. He glowed brighter than any tragedy. A survivor cloaked in sequins. He owns the twilight. Now look at Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman. A child of the wide Canadian plains, he stood out early. Adopted and searching for a reflection. He lived in the middle. Finding his place was a delicate dance. He was a bridge. He began as a face on global runways, a traveling star, but he wanted to speak deeper truths. He turned to acting. He found a role that felt like home, a clever creator. It was a breakthrough for everyone watching, a moment of clarity. Then came the big stage and a judging chair, a milestone. But the digital world turned cold, the words were sharp. In 2020, he joined a major television panel. It was a landmark for queer men of color everywhere, but the victory turned into a painful public ordeal. Online cruelty replaced the celebration of his unique talent. He stepped away to protect his own heart. He spoke openly about the cost of public abuse. He highlighted the biases within our very own communities. He kept performing in major horror and hero roles. He reclaimed his space with quiet, steady strength. Representation is more than a moment. It is about staying. Standing in the spotlight can feel like wearing a shield, yet true bravery is showing the world who you really are. Let's talk about Jeremy Pope, a man who refused to stay quiet in a world that rarely celebrated people like him. Back in Orlando, Florida, he was just a kid in a church pew with a voice that dreamed of something much bigger. But navigating the theater world as a black queer man wasn't exactly a path that had been paved for him yet. Without a guide, he relied on his own spirit and a quiet promise to never shrink himself to make others feel comfortable. Driven by that fire, he headed to New York to hone his skills at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. The early days weren't flashy. They were built on endless auditions, tiny rooms, and a deep, unshakable faith in his own talent. Directors soon realized he possessed a rare, raw honesty that made it impossible to look away whenever he stepped onto the stage. He didn't just perform. He shared his soul, leading to a legendary run on Broadway in 2019. He achieved something nearly unheard of, pulling in 2 Tony Award nominations during the very same theatrical season. In the play, Choir Boy, he portrayed a student athlete struggling to find his voice within the rigid walls of a prestige school. Facing old prejudices masked as tradition, his performance felt less like a show and more like a necessary, powerful confrontation. His singing echoed with a sense of rebellion that left audiences not just moved but seeing their own lives in his story. Simultaneously, he stepped into the role of Eddie Kendricks in the production Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptations. By balancing 2 completely different emotional worlds, he captured a historic moment that the theater world will never forget. He joined an elite group of only 6 actors to ever reach that double-nod milestone, and soon Hollywood wanted a piece. In the Netflix series Hollywood, he played a writer fighting to be heard in an era that tried its best to ignore him. The role mirrored his own journey, a creative soul demanding space in a business that wasn't originally designed with him in mind. Then came The Inspection, a heavy drama about a man searching for a sense of home while serving in the Marines. His subtle, haunting performance resonated across the industry, earning him major praise and proving his depth as a leading man. Beyond the awards, his real impact comes from his refusal to hide his true self while reaching for the stars. He speaks with incredible openness about his heritage and his heart refusing to compromise his identity for the sake of success. In an industry that still has much to learn, he offers a gentle strength where others might expect only silence. By showing his true feelings without hesitation, he is changing our very idea of what a powerful leading man looks like. He isn't just taking on roles, he is building a legacy every time he walks onto a film set or stage. He carries the stories of those who never got their chance, ensuring the next generation sees a brighter, clearer future ahead. He didn't wait for a seat at the table. He sang until the very walls of the industry began to move. That same spirit of breaking barriers brings us to Karamo Brown, a man who chose to turn his struggles into healing. His story doesn't start with the glitz of television. It begins with a teenager wandering the streets of Houston, Texas. Growing up in a traditional Caribbean home, he made a life-altering decision that would change his path in an instant. At 15, he shared his truth, which was a massive seismic event for a religious boy in the mid-1990s. That honesty brought a heavy distance at home and a period of deep uncertainty about where he truly belonged in life. But it also brought a beautiful clarity. He knew that living a lie was a burden he could no longer carry. In 2004, he joined MTV, The Real World Philadelphia, making history as a pioneer for queer black men. Being seen by millions was a breakthrough, but it came with the intense pressure of carrying an entire community's hopes. He represented a reality the world rarely acknowledged, being dark-skinned masculine and unapologetically queer all at the once. When the show ended, his path didn't lead straight to fame. It led him toward a much quieter, deeper purpose. He became a licensed social worker, spending his time helping queer youth navigate the same pain he once felt himself. He stood in the gap for those facing rejection, mending hearts long before he ever returned to the public eye. Years before he was a household name again, he was doing the difficult, necessary emotional work in the real world. Then, in 2018, Netflix Queer Eye brought him back, but this time he was there as a mender. As the culture lead, he looked past the surface to help people heal the hidden wounds they carried inside. He tackled the pain of absent parents and the weight of shame, making it safe for men to finally be vulnerable. With a calm, steady spirit, he showed us all that true strength is found in our ability to be empathetic. His personal world shifted in 2007 when he discovered a 10-year-old son he never knew, instantly embracing fatherhood. Solo paternity anchored his spirit's evolution, reminding us how fatherhood truly reshapes a man's soul. His autobiography detailed discovering destiny's recovery, a path paved with newfound light and inner peace. Collaboration with his offspring nurtured early self-worth, planting seeds for a gentler future generation. Publicly addressing internal shadows haunting brothers today, he invited us into the quiet corners of the heart. Karamo Brown's impact transcends merely mending generational fractures, leaving a legacy that echoes far beyond the screen. Celebrity served as altruistic leverage for lifting others, proving that true power lies in who we carry with us. Choosing transparent recovery with profound, unapologetic depth, he showed us the beauty in our own unvarnished truths. Darryl Stephens pioneered trails before modern inclusion's dawn, a quiet architect of the cinematic world we now inhabit. Bearing progressive burdens before slogans defined era, he carried the weight of a revolution on his own. California roots and academic depth shaped his perspective, grounding a storyteller who understood the gravity of identity. Navigating Tinseltown during the late 90s through minor beginnings, he sought a place in the sun. Resisting narrow caricatures for genuine creative space, he dared to exist where few were allowed. Logo's 2005 premiere changed televised history, a landmark moment that still feels like a homecoming. Breathing life into Noah Nicholson's urban romantic dreams, he gave a voice to those long left unheard. Heroes emerging from society's peripheral shadows finally found a home in the center of the frame. Humanizing stories once relegated to punchline zones, he proved every soul is deserving of a great love. Brief broadcast, yet lasting cultural resonance, the show remains a nostalgic touchstone for a changing nation. Witnessing oneself mirrored authentically felt like Revelation's dawn, a mirror held up to a forgotten community. Grounded performance challenged the industry's hesitant pace, making us wonder why it took so long to see. Visibility outweighed the convenience of hidden career paths, a choice that defined his courageous cinematic journey. Integrity eclipsed any temporary invisible safety, reminding us that being seen is the greatest act of defiance. Required reading explored race and carnal longing's intersection, weaving a tapestry of desire and belonging. Writing prevented erasure while guiding the next generation's artists, ensuring no story is ever truly lost. Challenging superficial gestures while demanding substantive structural change, he pushed the industry toward a deeper truth. Persisting through time defines a legacy's true strength, a steady heartbeat in an ever-shifting Hollywood. Living authentically speaks louder than fleeting fame, a testament to the power of an uncompromising life. Jerrod Carmichael finds profound power in uncomfortable honesty's light, stripping away the mask of the comedian.